What else is going on, guys?
I heard through the grapevine. I got a little notification on my phone actually.
Oh, really?
It's been an anniversary of some sorts.
An anniversary.
An anniversary. It's been an entire year.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. It's been a year.
It's when?
Since how do I put this? I don't know how to put this. I'm gonna say Drake their response to an attempted diss by one Kendrick Lamar.
Attempted diss.
I believe it was Meet the Grams. Am I correct?
Meet the Grams by Drake, and Kendrick responded with no. Family Matters by
Drake.
By Drake
and Kendrick responded with Meet the Grams like in what, 20 minutes?
20-ish minutes, yeah. Less than half an hour.
God.
It is. So
talk
for
about
any
a
of
diss
you,
track 20 minutes later.
So
Get me in the booth.
I imagine he had it recorded already. And this is the genius of Kendrick Lamar. Like just following the entire battle or whatever, he already knew what Drake was gonna say before Drake even said it.
But wasn't a whole part of it. He told him, he's like, your people work for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he warned him, like, even your own people don't like you. They feed me stuff.
Exactly.
And this was one of the response to that.
Well, he also warned him in Euphoria, I think. Don't tell no lie about me. I won't tell truths about you. And he also said in the song, I know some stuff about people. Like, he was basically warning him, hey, chill out what you say about me, dude. I know some stuff.
Well, in Meet the Grams, he didn't even just talk about Drake. He talked about the people that surround Drake and very personal things that normally people don't talk about.
Yep.
And that, I think, is kind of the genius of Kendrick Lamar, is he leaves no stone unturned. If he's going to go in a battle, he's gonna go in a battle.
Yeah, he does his homework, ladies and gentlemen.
He does his homework. He's got like that Sun Tzu art of war going on.
He did warn him.
But in that book by Sun Tzu, he says, you never go into a battle unless you've won it. And I think I think he went in already knowing he won. And you know what? I think this is a lesson, not just to hip-hop artists, but artists in general, about authenticity. And I think the lesson that we've learned over the course of this year is authenticity is actually very important.
Yeah.
Not just in hip hop. We've seen it in the rock realm as well.
That's right.
Nickelback, for example,
we talked
about last week, is accused of not being authentic.
Yeah. Overly produced.
A
little too polished.
A little poppy, if you will, but I don't really get that. But
I mean, there's a place for pop elements in rock.
Do you make music to be popular, or does pop music follow what's popular?
That's true.
So I think Nickelback might be caught somewhere in that argument somewhere.
Could be. I can see that.
And then
I can see that. And
then other artists that get accused, such as Stained. What's the gentleman's name?
Oh, Aaron Lewis.
It's an interesting,
very interesting.
It's an interesting dynamic in music, which we see mostly in hip hop.
Yeah.
So this year-long, I guess this year, as we've seen this battle kind of wane, and then we have the Super Bowl that kind of reignited the discussion, and then it's kind of waned again. Now Kendrick's on tour with SZA, right?
Yeah.
Amazing music together, by the way.
Luther is top notch.
Oh, man. And Drake, I mean, put out another record, which
it did pretty well, actually.
Actually, very good. So I think what I've learned in this past year, and I hope we can have this discussion, but in the rock genre,
I like it,
is authenticity.
Yes.
How much is authenticity worth?
Yeah.
In rock, as compared to rap.
I would venture to say, I speak, I think, for the metal world, that authenticity is everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything. I mean, remember when the hair bands in the 80s started coming out? That's why Metallica left LA, because you had Motley Crue and like all these hair bands and like all these things coming out. Like, these guys are just talking about getting laid and getting drunk. Like, They're not talking about the real shit. So I think there's an element there, especially like in the underground thrash metal world, where authenticity is 100% still there.
You know, I just talked about Marlo not too long ago, but just being able to write song such a way to like we feel authenticity.
Well,
like you just, I don't know, being able to get thrown into a story for just 3 simple lines in a song to put you in a spiral in your emotions. Like that's the authenticity that some of these artists I would channel.
It's one thing to sing a song. I mean, anyone can sing a song.
Yeah.
I can sing a song, not very well, but it's one thing to sing a song, but it's another thing to tell a story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another thing to have that story be believable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the authenticity comes in, because you got to be 100% yourself, comfortable with yourself.
Well,
right?
The bands that we featured lately, Marlo, for instance, Cities again.
Yeah.
Oh my God. God damn it, Marlo. Like, I was like, I couldn't talk for a couple minutes. I was like, I felt exactly that. Abdomen, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk a lot. Like,
Yes.
the lead singer Peter just talks a lot about kind of just his struggle.
Yeah.
And Lockjaw,
about Joe and his struggles. I mean, Jeff in that interview talked about just the way Joe grew up and the shit that he went through. Man, how it comes down to music.
Oh yeah.
Jeez, man, there's some heavy stuff.
Oh yeah. And you know, there's authenticity within artists. So I watched an interview of Billy Corgan. He was talking about the first time he met Chino Moreno.
Yeah.
And went to the concert, thought it was great, went backstage, and apparently, according to Billy Corgan, Chino's like, "Hey, what's up? You recognize anything?" Apparently, you know, he had, you know, gotten inspiration from some Smashing Pumpkins song, and Billy was like, "I heard it, man." Like, that's the authenticity I think people, artists are looking for in other artists. Maybe like, you know, you acknowledge where you're getting some of this inspiration from. But as fans, I think it's a little bit different, because we're not. Most of us, I don't have a music degree. I know what I like, but I couldn't tell you like structurally like the different types of music theory that goes into that. But listening to the music, I think you can tell when an artist is genuinely making their own music.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the bands that we love here that are stuck here, the Nirvanas, the Nine Inch Nails, Deftones,
The
Rush, The Cure, Jimi Hendrix, Foo Fighters. Yeah, you just have so many artists that are genuinely making great music by themselves.
Yeah.
And then you have other artists which get accused of being inauthentic.
Yeah.
The Nickelbacks, for example. I think Stone Temple Pilots got thrown in there for a little bit, right?
Yeah,
accused of being kind of industry plants, if you will.
Maroon 5.
Maroon 5. Well, we do talk about rock music here, so we
we
won't get into that.
You don't have the moves like Jack?
He doesn't have the moves like Jagger either.
I mean, all their songs sound the same now.
They kind of do.
They all sound the same.
They have their place, but
they have their place and they're popish and they'll get popular, and they you know, they have a beat. You'll move to them, but to our point, do you feel it? Are you gonna put that on repeat because you're like, fuck.
Maroon 5 does have some songs,
The early stuff.
but let's not pretend like they're the rock band or something like that. They're a pop rock band.
Songs about Jane are
Great
Good album.
Yeah,
great.
But since then,
That's a topic for another day.
that's a topic.
We had a different discussion about, you know, personal lives of artists. And we won't get into that.
That'll be a discussion for another episode.
But if we think about, let's say, the big 4 thrash metal bands, authenticity is
through the roof.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax,
Right.
those dudes didn't just make the music, they lived the music.
Yeah.
The reason why we have metal, the reason we have bands like Lockjaw, is because of those bands. And we have great music today because
well, in the grunge scene too.
Grunge
scene,
too.
Kurt Cobain,
Yeah,
freaking Chris Cornell, all those singers are talking about real shit,
real stuff. And then you get a band like Pearl Jam, which also gets accused of being a little bit of an industry plant, but I don't get that one as much.
No, I don't.
I don't feel that they're inauthentic. I think they were separating themselves, if you will, from like that real grunge stuff.
Yeah.
They sang about a lot of the same stuff, but I want to say Pearl Jam's a little bit more, I guess, removed
A little bit
to talk about it directly.
Well, they got, what was it, like the album Yield,
Yeah.
right? That's where, like, well, figuratively and by name, yielded kind of
from the grunge.
from that. Our other brother will tell.
Yeah.
Can give you a whole dissertation about it.
Well, you have in grunge, you know, you have like this highway, and then you have Pearl Jam kind of take a little bit of an offshoot, and then you have Stone Temple Pilots that, with their second, Purple, kind of didn't sound.
They didn't sound like
grungy, but
it was still good.
Something.
It was still good.
Excellent. One of the best records from that era. My first record that I bought. But I think you get a little bit of everything when you talk about authenticity, because it is very subjective.
That's right.
But when you hear artists talk about other artists, it's very interesting. And me, I like to watch The Breakfast Club talk about hip hop. Yeah. And them talking about each other's authenticity is interesting because, you know, you have a certain lifestyle that a lot of these people, I mean, heartbreaking in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And when you're rapping about stuff like, I mean, it's coming from somewhere genuine. And then you have someone like Drake who's rapping about that, and knowing where he came from. He's that kid from Degrassi, right?
Yeah.
Singing about
growing up on the streets, and you have like the sounds of gunfire in the background. Like, you know, he didn't grow up that way. Like, I think that is where we kind of find authenticity now.
I'd love to get Ace Wave's take on all this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
But it has been a year. I'm excited about Kendrick's tour with SZA. I definitely want to go.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to scrounge some money up, get a third or fourth job if I need to get there. But I think this past year has definitely been, at least for me, a lesson in authenticity.
I like it.
That's a good way to
that.
Good way to put it.
There's an episode of Music Theory with Mayhem. Just package that up.